Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and hi Dr. Farah. Before we start our video, let me introduce myself and our team members.
So the first apple is Shasha Aina, which is me. The second one is Hazik, and the third one is Isati Husna, and the black scarf one is Siti Hazika. The last one is Nur Shafika Natasha.
Do you realize when people want to diet, they always eat apple? What is inside of apple actually? I know. Apple consists of fiber and vitamin C. They will make people full. But how about digestion system happen? Let's see. My friends will explain to you.
Hi everyone! So now we are in the first stage for the process of an apple entering our body. Okay, so first thing first, if you want to eat an apple, you need to start with your mouth by chewing the apple. So let me explain to you the part in our mouth. Our mouth has teeth. At our teeth, we have incisors, which mean gigi palsu. Second, we have canines, which mean gigi taring, premolars, molars, and salivary gland. Okay, so this is what happens when you bite the apple. First, the incisors and canine will cut and shred your apple into the small pieces. After that, the premolars mash the apple. Then, the molars will grind the mash of apple, so it will become the mash of pieces apples,
More tiny.
After that, the salivary glands will take over. It will secrete the saliva, which get mixed with the mashed up apples. Then, what happened with the mashed pieces of apple? The mucus in saliva will help the small pieces of the apple to slip down into the gullet. What is gullet? Gullet is our esophagus.
Esophagus is our gullet. It's just the same thing actually.
Okay, now we enter the second stage, which is esophagus. So the small pieces of apple that mix with saliva will go through the esophagus by the process of peristalsis. Do you guys know what is peristalsis?
Don't know? Let me explain to you what is peristalsis.
So peristalsis is the process of contraction and relaxation of muscular wall of our esophagus, so as to give a way for the food to enter our body. So contraction and relaxation. So then, what happened? This peristalsis of the wall of esophagus will push the small pieces of this apple down the esophagus into the stomach. As we know, an apple contains water, fiber, vitamin C, and sugar. So all of these things will be digested in our stomach, small intestine, and large intestine later. So let's go to the next stage of this digestion process, which is stomach.
Before I proceed with the explanation about the digestion of apple in stomach, let me first explain about the function of the stomach and how the gastric juices is produced. So, the stomach acts as a temporary storage for large quantities of food before it is passed into the small intestine. It can easily hold 1.5 liters with a maximum holding capacity of about 4 liters, and it takes about 2 to 4 hours for food to move from stomach to small intestine. Other than that, the stomach secretes the gastric juices that contain hydrochloric acid and pepsin enzyme. These gastric juices are very important for breaking down the protein into smaller polypeptides and kill bacteria in food. Next, the muscle of stomach grinds molasses of food and mix them with gastric juices to form chyme. Chyme is a semi-fluid pulp formed in the stomach. The killing of bacteria that accidentally enter in the food also occur in the stomach with the help of hydrochloric acid. It is because the pH of hydrochloric acid is below 3, where the bacteria cannot live. The last function is the stomach acts as a site of protein digestion, and the pepsin enzyme in the gastric juices break down the food proteins into polypeptides. Okay, now let's see how the gastric juices is produced in the stomach. The walls of the stomach contain the cell's lining, and if we zoom in on the small section of the lining, we can see the exocrine glands. Exocrine glands consist of 4 important types of cells, which are mucous cells, chief cells, parietal cells, and G cells. Mucous cells secrete mucus that are lubricates and protect the cell lining of the stomach from destroyed because of the high acidity. Now let's move to the parietal cells and chief cells. Parietal cells secrete hydrochloric acid, while chief cells secrete pepsinogen. The hydrochloric acid is cleaved the pepsinogen into pepsin, where pepsin is a protease that can be used to break down protein into smaller molecules. Okay, now let's proceed with the digestion of apple in stomach. First of all, the bolus of apple from the esophagus are dropped into the stomach through the cardiac sphincter. Then stomach muscle churns, squeezes, and grinds the bolus of apple and mix them with gastric juices to form chyme. The hydrochloric acid in the gastric juices are killing any harmful bacteria in the food. In stomach, there are no digestion of starch or carbohydrate. It is because the law of pH in the stomach inactivates salivary amylase, so it no longer works once it arrives at the stomach. There are also no digestion of protein because protein are not present in an apple. So it will be traveled through by peristalsis, which helps pump chyme into the small intestine.
I want to present to you what happened to the apple when it thrown to the small intestine. What is virus? Virus is contain a lactal and a network of blood capillaries. This virus is to absorb the nutrient to our body, to our blood capillaries. And what is microvilli? Microvilli is a brush border microscopic projection that extends from epithelial cells into the intestinal lumen. Why the microvilli called as brush border? Next slide, I will show you the structure, the picture of the structure. So now I will explain to you just simple. This is called is microvilli, and the middle of the microvilli have so many villi. And if you look this structure at the next slide at the picture, you will look as a brush border. So that's why this microvilli is called as brush border. The last one is lactal. Lactal is a lymphatic capillary that absorbs dietary fats in the villi of the small intestine. Lactal is the function to absorb the fat. But we now discuss about what happened if we eat apple. But apple don't have fats, so this lactal is not used in our discussion. If you look at here, we have a microvilli that I say before. This look like a brush border, and we have a lactal and also villi here. What is small intestine? Small intestine is a major organ of digestion and absorption of most nutrients into the blood. It's the facts that small intestine is the biggest organ in our body. Duodenum is after its passage through the stomach. Ingested food turned into acidic chyme arrive in the first segment of the small intestine, U-shaped tube called the duodenum. If you look at our body structure, from the stomach into the small intestine have a small tube named can turn the apple that we eat turn into the acidic chyme. So it's easy to absorb the nutrient from that food that I will eat. Okay, the next one, if we go to the arrow, the next one is jejunum. Jejunum is to absorb sugars, amino acid, and fatty acid. Both the jejunum and ileum production. Okay, this jejunum, the function is to absorb sugar. If we know, apple is a fruit, so it have a sugar that called so fructose. The last one is ileum. Ileum is the final portion of the small intestine and acts as the cecum. It absorbs any final nutrient with major absorption products being vitamin B12 and bile acid. Okay, this jejunum absorbs the sugar, but this ileum absorbs the nutrient and vitamin. The chyme from the apple go through to our small intestine, go to the jejunum, absorb the sugar, go through to the ileum, absorb the nutrient and vitamin, and go through to the large small intestine. Let's go to our next phrase. Bye.
Okay, so next I would like to share to you about my part, which is the colon. Okay, so colon is known as large intestine or large bowel. It is the final part of the digestive system. In colon, the fluids are reabsorbed and the waste products are processed from the body and will be prepared to eliminate it. Okay, in this colon, they consist of 4 parts, which is the descending colon, ascending colon, transverse colon, and sigmoid colon. Okay, so what happened in colon actually? Do you guys know? Okay, so here I want to share to you guys about the process of the digestion that happen in colon. Okay, so first, some of the carbohydrates are digested efficiently and absorbed to the body. Okay, after that, while several of balanced carbohydrates that are not digestible are break down by the release of enzyme from bacteria in large intestine, which is colon. Okay, the product that produced after the bacterial digestion are short strand fatty acids and few gases. So these two product, which is short chain fatty acids and gases, is the product that will be produced after the digestion of bacteria. Next is the bacteria either use short chain fatty acids to produce energy and growth. Okay, this energy will be used to continue this process. Okay, next, they are then eliminated in the feces or absorbed into the colon cells, with a small amount are being transported to the liver. We proceed with the anus. Okay, anus is the down part of our body structure. Part, there will no chemical digestion occur except for bacteria. The ions, water, minerals, and the production of small organic molecules by bacteria are absorbed. The remaining from the apple, which are not digestible, solid waste are stored in the rectum. It will then expel through the anus. So all the substance that are not digestible will be flushed out from our body through this anus. So that's all from me. Bye.
Phew, finally, we are done with digestion system. But where is fiber and vitamin C go? I know. Water in fiber will be absorbed in colon and the rest will turn to a solid waste. And the vitamin C will go into the cell and react as collagen. And for your information, eat an apple a day will lower your risk for conditions such as diabetes, anemia, liver disorder, and heart disease. So yes, let's eat apple. I think that's all. Thank you for watching. Have a good day, doctor. And bye-bye. Assalamualaikum.